Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Gran Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? Whether you're upsizing or downsizing, the Gran Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Gran Group by emailing thegran, G-R-A-N, group at edinarealty.com or call them by phone at 612-817-8751. The Gran Group with Edina Realty, three-time Minneapolis-St. Paul Magazine Super Agent Award winners. On this episode, David and Dan recap the Twins' three-game series against the New York Yankees. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win. My name is David Kufis. With me, as always, is Dan Thompson. The Twins managed to steal one away from the evil empire. And maybe the key reason, Dan Thompson, Yankee starters lasted a combined 10.2 innings in this series. So the question I have to ask, Dan, do you think Correa brought trash cans? Because there was an article in the Star Trib that the Twins picked up on Gausman's tipping his pitches in the series at Toronto. And Dan, you sent a text about Correa's championship culture. The trash cans, that's just part of that culture, right?
I guess so. And this made me think, like, what must it be like to actually be an Astros fan? Because the Astros fans had nothing to do with this. Like, do we feel bad for Astros fans because of this?
Do we feel bad for them? I'm confused by the question.
Well, in the sense that, like, you know, let's say there was trash can banging for our favorite team. I don't even want to say the words together. Like, that's not our fault. Like would we still root for them? Like, do Astros fans, like, how do they feel, David? They're lost in all of this.
If you go to Astros Twitter, I highly doubt there's anybody who takes a very nuanced approach, Dan. I think their approach is, we're the best, you're all sore losers. And the rest of the league is like, no, you cheated. Granted, yes, Twitter is not a place for nuance, though, right, Dan Thompson?
No.
So it's a very black and white place.
Anyway, but the original stat that you do bring up, and first of all, for the record, we don't think that there was any cheating going on for the Twins here. We don't want to start those rumors. That was perhaps the most disappointing part, is that the Twins did what we thought they needed to do by getting out ahead, scoring some runs, and they just weren't able to hang on to a couple games.
No, lots of opportunities in both Game 1 and Game 3, Dan, to really come away with the series victory, which would have been huge. Coming off the win against the Blue Jays to get another series win against the Yankees, Dan, I don't know if I would have been able to sleep tonight, to be honest, if they would have won tonight's game.
Well, and I believe the stat was they haven't beaten the Yankees in a series, I think, since 2018 was the number. And they haven't won a season series against the Yankees, which they still could do because they play 4 games in New York later this year.
Oh,
since
yeah,
2001.
I got a lot of confidence there.
But like, you weren't even born in 2001, David. I don't even think you've seen them do that.
2001? I wasn't born.
Right,
How
well,
old do you think I am? I did just get my learner's permit.
All right, well, let's start into this here, David. Series recap.
Series recap.
You know, Dan, every time the Twins play the Yankees, you just get that feeling, right? Like it's in your stomach, and you're just like, just get through the first inning without giving up a run, just so I can have some hope for a little bit of this game. Cole Sands said, you know what, David, I don't care about your stomach. I don't care about your feelings. 3-run lead right off the bat for the Yankees. Twins lose this one 10-4, Dan Thompson, and it very much felt like the Yankees were playing the Twins.
It did, though the Twins really did fight back. They had that one in the first, they got one in the third. You know, they were close through the 5 innings here, and then the wheels really fell off in the 7th when your guy Duffy came in.
Hold up. When I say your guy, at least it's somebody who you've expressed an interest in supporting in the past. I will not take Tyler Duffy as my guy, Dan Thompson. No, thank you.
By the way, David, I gotta say this. Did you forget that I'm not your brother? Like, you keep calling me by my full name a lot lately. I just want you to know, like, I am not your brother, but don't we have some other differences that you can distinguish us?
Nope, it's gotta be Dan Thompson. And
okay,
full disclosure, folks, I see my brother every Thursday night, and the Twins happen to be ending their series a lot of times on Thursday night. So I go the whole night talking to Dan, my brother, and then I got to do a podcast with Dan Thompson. It makes a lot of sense that I'd say your name a lot, Dan.
Hold on. But do you call him Dan, my brother, when you're playing games?
I call him Brother Dan every time.
All right, just had to get that off my chest. But the Twins, they have chances here. The Yankees actually commit 3 errors.
3!
And the Twins go 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position. I get that you got to thread the needle, at least if you're the Twins, to beat the Yankees. But this was a game that felt winnable, right? You're only down a run here mid-game.
Well, yeah, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later with how Rocco decided to handle the bullpen in this game. But pitching lines, again, not great here. Sands goes 3 2/3, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 homers given up. Manaea does okay, only gives up 1 run, but he only pitches an inning. And then Cano comes in, Dan, remarkably doesn't give up a run, shocking. And as you said, Duffy and Miguel come in and really clean it up, giving up 5 combined earned runs between them.
Cano is almost my beast for this series, David. He didn't give up a run. He came in the third, too. He did lower his ERA to under 10. So,
well, Cotton was your Cy Young pick last episode, I think, Dan.
he was going to be. He was in line for the win in Game 3. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, David. We got to talk about Game 2, the gem here of the series.
Yeah, well, we should give a little bit of a shout out at least to Jorge Polanco. Had 4 hits in this game. I mean, obviously it's a bright spot in a very, very dark and cloudy game. But I mean, props to Polanco for really putting the offense together.
So that's Game 1. Game 2, the Twins win this one 8-1. David, they get 5 innings out of Archer, who finally gets his first win as a Twin.
His first win since like the last time he got a win was against the Twins, Dan. Years and years ago.
The Twins knock Nestor Cortez out here in the 5th inning. He gives up 4 earned runs and 7 hits. What was so impressive to me was that the Twins actually really did hold a lead against the Yankees. Go figure.
Pretty shocking. The thing is, we've said this before when the Twins play the Yankees. I don't care what the score is, Dan. I never feel comfortable until the box score is complete. The Twins could be up 30-1, and I would still be like, well, hang on, guys. Hang on. Let's just wait. Let's just not get over anxious and overexcited here.
2 things helped. First of all, Carlos Correa came back, which I think was big. He's played and defeated the Yankees before as an Astro. Also, the Twins got 4 double plays. They got the Yankees to ground into 4 of them, including one on infield in.
That was a weird play because you could tell, since they're not set up for the double play, it had to be a weird throw from Gordon because you're trying to make a fast throw, but you don't want to like whip it over to Polanco because he's got to be able to get to the bag and make the toss to first. It was like how you see a little league play, right, where the kid doesn't know how fast to throw it to second because he's kind of waiting on his teammate to get there, and that's very much how it felt in this circumstance. So great, though, they were able to pull it off. You don't see that very often, Dan.
No, that's got to be a weird throw, right? He's basically throwing it into center field.
Yeah.
As he leans around. The Twins, they get some big innings out of Griffin Jacks. He pitches 2 innings of shutout baseball. Then Pagan comes in, rights the ship, and then Thielbar comes in and pitches a pretty good 9th when they had some leeway.
We do have to mention, though, Dan, I don't understand, right? Watkins strikes again on this one here. Sends Urshela home. When there's only 1 out, there's no reason to send him from third. It was going to be a close play. He got thrown out. I don't understand what the plan is here, Dan Thompson.
No, and then Urshela in Game 3 was also kind of a base running snafu, which I would argue was perhaps not Watkins' fault. But do you have anything more on Game 2 before we talk about that?
No, I'm just really trying to not have to talk about Game 3, Dan Thompson.
Okay, so let's talk about Game 3. First of all, David, if you turn the game off after the 3rd inning, which we can understand, David, if that's what you did tonight. The Twins were ahead 7-3, and what a start to this game.
If I had told you this game started with the Twins scoring 3 runs in the bottom of the 1st inning off of Cole, I think it would probably be like your 6th or 7th thought that the way they did it was via 3 solo home runs.
Well, and I think it was actually the first time in Twins history that they had pulled this off. Arise goes deep, then Buxton, then Correa. I think Buxton was on the first pitch. I mean, it was very fast. Maybe 5 total pitches between the 3 home runs, and they were really pretty much no doubters, even Luis Arise.
Arise, it's always shocking when he hits a home run, right? You're just never expecting it.
No, he's kind of, I'm trying to think of a parallel. Did Tony Gwynn hit a lot of home runs?
Yeah, he hit quite a few, didn't he?
I just can't remember because I'm looking for a guy who is clearly not trying to hit home runs. It's just that he happens to make great contact once in a while and just enough power that it goes over the fence. And that's what it looked like for Luis Arise. His batting average is up to 359, or I shouldn't say up to. It's still at right around 359, leading the league.
Gwynn didn't hit that many home runs. He had 135 on the career.
And I could see Luis Arise hitting about that many over the course of his, what we hope to be a very lengthy Hall of Fame career, David.
Hall of Fame career. Well, if he keeps his batting average up, Dan, you never know.
Buxton also has another big 3-run homer in the 2nd inning, so he goes 2 for 4 with 4 RBI and 2 runs and a walk. Buxton looked great all series. He played all 3 games in the series, which was obviously maybe the biggest deal of the whole thing.
Yeah, he definitely is starting to look a little bit more healthy. The Rays series will really tell us, I think, how healthy he is. Will he play all 3 games in the Rays series, or will he get a day off?
That is a good question. Other moments, though, that's the problem, is that after those home runs there, Larnach hits one in the 3rd to give the Twins that 7-3 lead, and then the wheels really just come off.
Yeah, this is a bad one here. So Bundy does well. 4 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. And again, I say he does well. Almost any other team, I'd say that wasn't good. But against the Yankees, 4 earned runs over 4 innings, I think I take that. Like, I know, that's so sad. That's so sad, but I will take that. And then Cotton comes in, gives up 1 earned run. Then Smith comes in, and Smith had a rough outing, gives up a balk that he was really, really not happy about. But so he gives up 2 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned, with a walk and a strikeout and then a home run as well. He hasn't given up that many home runs, Dan, but it's very, very sad to see him kind of see his ERA continue to tick up from where it started after the first, even 30 games of the season.
Right, and then Duran comes in, is not effective. He gives up 4 hits and 2 runs, and he just gets 1 out. And then Moran comes in, he gives up another run, 3 walks, 2 hits. I mean, just those guys at the back end of the bullpen did not hold up until Cano did, when it wasn't so important with the game already 10-7.
Yeah, Duran, it's so hard because he has the raw stuff. But the problem is, it's still the best hitters in baseball that you're facing. And they're going to be able to hit fastballs. Unless you can be throwing pitches with a lot of movement on them, just throwing 100 miles an hour, even if your location is somewhat good, that's maybe not enough against the Yankees.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a lot more about the bullpen later in this game. Any other thoughts here on this one?
I think that'll do it for Game 3, Dan. I just don't want to talk about it anymore.
All right, let's go into Pucketts Picks.
Catch 'em all, Kirby Puckett!
Pucketts Picks winner.
Anytime that you can see the 3 guys that we picked all had very positive numbers, it's a good sign. So Dan took Buxton, and to be fair, if you only listened to last episode, you would think that Dan called this. Like, he's like, oh, Buxton's really going to bounce back. Dan's been saying Buxton's going to bounce back for the past 6 series, and now he finally hits on one. But so
I thought you were going to say 6 years. I've been talking about this since 2015 or 2016.
No, but so Buxton secures the win for Dan Thompson with 19 points. I had Miranda, who had 6 points. Again, that was more of a flyer pick, hoping for something good to happen. And the listeners took a rise, who had 8 points. So again, respectable scores, but Buxton's outing, Dan, was just phenomenal.
And so now you still have the season lead with 7, but I'm at 6 now. The listeners at 5. We got ourselves a series. Also, I have 19 more points on the season than you. So I'm feeling pretty dang good about my position here going forward, because obviously the history is a predictor of future success in something as silly as our Pucketts Picks.
All right, let's keep going here, Dan. Beast versus bench.
Beast versus bench.
Is losing fun? Is losing fun?
David, I really wanted to pick somebody else. I thought about Polanco after that 4-hit game in Game 1, but I have to go with Buxton. Also, I was really happy to see him running a little bit more aggressively on the base paths. Yep. In Game 3, he ran, which it could have been a hit and run. It's hard to see without looking at a ton of replays. But he was trying to steal second seemingly, and then Correa hit a ground ball. I think it was to short. But to see him try to take extra bases like that when he's already on the base paths was important, I think.
Yeah, I'm in 100% agreement with you here, Dan. I think Buxton is the obvious pick, and I would be hard-pressed to choose somebody else in this series.
Your bench, sir?
Yeah, it's got to be Sanchez. It's really disappointing because obviously so many articles have come out about the hard time that he's had in New York. He's facing his old team, kind of an opportunity to make them maybe think twice about the decisions that they've made as far as letting Sanchez go. But he goes 0 for 8 with 2 strikeouts, 4 guys left on base. Not a good outing. It's kind of the opposite for Urshela, right? He had a pretty good series overall, but so just kind of a bummer that Sanchez couldn't capitalize on his old team.
For my bench, I again went with a relief pitcher, as is my way here. I went with Duran because of the key spot that he was in there trying to keep this game tied and his just inability to do that. He just got outplayed by some of the best hitters in baseball. You alluded to this earlier. Aaron Judge nearly hits a home run off of him, off the very top of the fence, and then he comes around to score. I just thought this was a big moment, and Duran, he didn't live up to it.
I don't want to belabor the point here, Dan. I don't think it's a bad pick, other than the fact that Duran was only in the game for like less than an inning. But anyway,
It was a key inning. It was a whole series too, by the way. That was his only appearance in the series.
I've already dragged him through the mud here, so let's go to Rocco's Rewind. My thoughts actually connect to that particular outing.
Rocco's Rewind.
Well, you go ahead then, sir.
So after Game 1, the Twins were down 1 run, and Rocco decides with his bullpen to go Manaea, which was fine at that point in the game. But then he goes Cano, Duffy, McGill. And he had other options. He had Duran, he had Thielbar, he had Pagan, he had options that he could have gone to that he chose not to go to. Again, keep in mind, Twins are coming off an off day, right? So nobody pitched on Monday. So Rocco gets asked about this, and he says, well, we don't really want to use our good relievers unless we're up in a game. And I don't know that I buy this. Like, I understand what he's saying. I do. But what I'll say, Dan, is when you're playing the Yankees and it's a 1-run game and it's in later innings, how many opportunities are you going to get like that where the game's still within reach? I think at that point you bring in your better relievers.
I think the phrase is you play to win the next game. I think that's what Rocco was trying to do, right? Yes and no. I do understand his logic, and it played out actually well when the Twins won game 2 and then weren't able to come back in game 3. I don't really have a problem with it. It's maybe just a little bit on the nose, right? Because isn't that what every manager thinks that they should do? But aren't you supposed to say as the manager, no, all our guys, we love all our guys, we trust them in all situations?
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly Rocco's saying, I used our worst relievers in this instance because I didn't think we had a chance to win this one. And so I didn't want to burn our better arms. I don't love that phrasing. And again, I don't even mind him being so candid about it, but it's one of those things where I do think that the Twins had a legitimate shot to win this baseball game, and he just kind of threw it away and didn't really seem like it mattered to him, and that bothered me a little bit.
If the Twins had won game 3, I think this conversation is different, though, because if they had won the series, I don't think we're complaining so much about it.
Well, yeah, probably not, but Dan, winning heals all wounds, as we well know.
It does. Well, so with my rewind, I think maybe this is obvious, but Rocco has lately put Arise in the leadoff spot and Buxton 2, flipping them essentially from where they were earlier. He hasn't had a really set order, I think, because of the lack of consistent play from Buxton and Correa, and even Arise to some extent. But I really like that order because I think it gives Buxton a chance to drive in some runs, and it gets Arise maybe just those extra couple at bats, and it turns the lineup over. And this actually brings up a moment in game 3 that I was disappointed in when Urshela gets doubled off on a deep fly ball to center. He ends up not touching third base as he tries to go back to second base. And Arise would have been up.
Fault.
Well, there you go. But Arise would have been up next with a runner in scoring position. Key moment there. But I do like having Arise, I guess, in those kinds of spots.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because you like Buxton on the base paths because he's got an opportunity to steal a base, and it makes the pitcher change his wind up to probably pitching out of the stretch. However, I mean, chances that Buxton hits one out of the park is far greater than Arise hitting it out of the park.
The only question I would have about this is Arise is not exactly fleet of foot,
correct?
Right? So if Arise is on base, he's on first and Buxton hits one to the gap and wants a triple. Like, is he going to be like right on the heels of Arise, like pushing him down the baseline?
Probably not as on the heels of Arise as he would be on the heels of, somebody like that.
Well, you know what? Watkins is going to send him from third anyway, so it won't really be a problem there.
My goodness, Dan. Okay, well, let's go Minnesota moment time.
Minnesota moment.
I'll go first as the obvious one. It's the back-to-back-to-back home runs to start game 3.
Yeah, it's a good choice, certainly. But it's funny because normally with the Minnesota moments, we either choose a moment from a game that the Twins win, or we choose a poor moment from a game where the Twins lose. And this one, it's cool, but it's just a bummer that they couldn't finish out this game, Dan.
But this is typical Twins Yankees baseball, right? Like when the Twins got a 3-run lead in that playoff game in 2017, Dozier hit a home run, Polanco gets on, Rosario hits a home run, and then the Twins lose. Like, this is just kind of a typical game for the Twins against the Yankees.
Any chance to talk about Eddie Rosario, Dan Thompson, you take it. You do not miss the opportunities.
Of course, David. Any chance I get. What's your moment?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Miranda's third hit of the night in game 2, bottom 7. Scored 2 runs, and Dan, that was the moment when the Twins were up 8-1, and I finally started to believe in the 7th inning, Dan, that the Twins might be able to win this one being up by 7 runs, but I still wasn't sure, Dan. I still wasn't sure, but they did manage to pull it off.
Well, this goes well into the musing that I have.
I just don't know how it can get any better.
Mauer's musings.
You're not going to like this question.
Okay.
But is Jose Miranda going to get sent back to AAA anytime soon?
Why?
Well, here's why, I would think. I have a couple reasons. First, I don't think he plays very good defense. And I think he's a liability out there. He's got 4 errors already in 18 games. And I get that he's playing some first base. He did play some first base in AAA, but I don't love his glove. Also, the Twins have a guy named Spencer Steer who is mashing right now at AAA. And I think at some point you got to give him a chance. He's got an OPS over 1,000. He's got an average of .298. I tell you, David, I think they got to give Steer a chance at some point.
No, I don't think so. I think that Miranda continues to prove himself to be effective at the plate, and he's not going to get sent down because unless he truly cannot play in the field at all. And granted, yes, he has some errors, but he's still figuring it out at first. I think he stays around, Dan. I don't think he's going down to AAA unless his bat starts to struggle.
See, I don't like this guys figuring out how to field at a major league level. This hasn't worked out. This didn't work out with Royce Lewis here, David. They put him in center field, and he runs into the wall and hurts his knee.
This is the Twins way. You let guys learn it on the fly. It's just the Major League Baseball, right? It's just
Major League Baseball. Yeah. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, my goodness.
All right. Well, what's yours?
glowing transition. You seem so interested. Get yours over with.
All right,
Get
go
yours.
ahead. I was trying to be hasty. Go ahead, ask your question.
So here's the question, Dan. So the Twins win game 2, and that happened to coincide with Carlos Correa's return to the lineup. Obviously, Correa's presence has an impact on this team. So I want to know, Dan, how much does that factor in, do you think, for him as a player versus like if Buxton's out or if Buxton's not healthy? Do you need them both to sort of have the full team chemistry necessary for this team to feel like it is that championship culture that he's trying to build?
Well, first of all, he's a bit of an upgrade over Jermaine Palacios, and that is no shade on Jermaine Palacios. It's just he's not ready.
It's a little shade.
Well, it's a little shade because he's not Carlos Correa. We wouldn't say like, this is like Buxton to Jake Cave, by the way, or something like that, right? Like, this is not, it's not fair. But with Correa, I don't think the Twins can win this division if Correa and Buxton aren't healthy for the vast majority of the rest of the games of the season.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. And that's truly what's leading me to ask this question, is because I think Correa is proving himself to be a very vital piece to this team. And granted, I think we thought that way coming into the season, but the Twins have managed to be effective even when Correa has been sidelined. And so that's what made me think, how good can this team be without Correa? But it just means that much more than when he's in the lineup and performing.
Yeah, and the Twins have just been missing so many guys off of this team. They're barely cobbling together a lineup, it seems, and it does look like they're turning the corner, at least in the lineup, to getting healthy again. It
definitely seems like consistently you're going to see 10 to 11 guys as far as position players are concerned, but that starting rotation, Dan, is still, it's an enigma. It's a code-breaking exercise for Rocco to try and sort out who's on what IL and who's ready to go, Dan. It's got to be rough trying to figure out who's gonna fill in these innings.
Well, let's keep talking about that in the series grades.
Series grades.
I gave them a C, my main reason being they nearly won a series against the Yankees without their top 2 starters, Joe Ryan, Sonny Gray, and even without Bailey Ober out there, and without Chris Paddock, who they're going to be without. But how are they winning any games right now beyond maybe 1 out of every 4 with the rotation that they've got?
No, it's a fair question. I think it's a fair grade too. I went lower. I gave him a D this time. Maybe I'm back to my curmudgeonly self. The reason why is it would have been an A had they managed to win game 1 or game 3, and it probably would have been a C had they lost differently in game 3 than the way that they did. But there's only so many times, Dan, a Twins fan can get kicked like this when they get up big and they can't lock it down.
And now they got another big series against the Rays coming up.
I don't know, Jack. It looked like Herbeck pulled him off the bag.
Herbie's headlines.
Well, Dan, Herbie's headline. Do you want to do the one that's sort of a fun little reminiscent twin story, or do you want to jump into the one that made you curse the skies?
Oh, man. Well, I think the second's going to make for a better segment, but I am going to mention the first. Eduardo Escobar, who, by the way, I still have a hand-drawn image of him that a student drew me a few years ago next to my desk of Eduardo Escobar. He hit for the cycle on Monday, and he got the triple last, and he was so pumped. It was a stand-up triple. So proud of Eduardo Escobar, who's made himself a heck of a career, and now he's having a great year with the Mets.
Now tell us about the other headline you wanted to discuss.
So first off, Hogs sent us this, and I was at work, and my mood really shifted, shall we say, when he sent this here. He sent this story from ESPN about the shift and how players are so happy that that the ban is going to come back seemingly next year. It's not official. But my goodness, some of the things that these baseball players are saying, oh, sorry, you can't hit the baseball where the guys aren't. Oh, poor professional baseball player. It's so hard to hit the ball to the opposite field. It's so hard, which is basically what they're saying. So that got me going. And the second thing, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to read these quotes. So Theo Epstein, who is now working as some kind of advisor for Major League Baseball, said this, quote, "An anti-shift rule would restore a traditional aesthetic and make the game more familiar and relatable for fans who grew up knowing intuitively where the shortstop and second baseman play and what a sure base hit looks like off the bat." What are you talking about, Theo Epstein?
I mean, nothing is more confusing to me, Dan, when the running back when it's an I formation instead of a shotgun formation, so it's one of those things. It gets real confusing. I mean, I see the I formation, and I'm like, wait a second, where's the running back, Dan?
And then when they use the wildcat formation and the quarterback is out on the side, we should ban the wildcat in football because it's too confusing for the defenders. Are you kidding, Theo Epstein? And then it goes on. And then David Robertson, a pitcher for the Cubs, says this, quote, "I don't ever feel sorry for hitters. My biggest complaint about the shift is, how do you explain that to kids?" What? What's the point of having a shortstop if he can't play shortstop? What's the point of having a second baseman if he can't play second? Oh my goodness. What is he doing?
I'm curious, Dan. In the Little League World Series this past season, how much per guy shifted? I'm just curious how often that was done. You got 8 little leaguers on the right side of second base? Is that how they do it in the Little League World Series?
It's like, my goodness, nostalgia? Aesthetic? Is that what we're talking about? No. Just hit the ball where the players are not.
Fans want an ejection. There he goes. And that was Gardy's gripe.
That's all you have to do. My goodness.
I think my favorite quote was Gallo. When Gallo was like, yeah, I could try and hit it the other way, but then you're robbing yourself the opportunity to hit a home run. It's like, what?
It's like, gentlemen. And the worst of it is that the writer here is clearly like just letting these guys have their moment here with no counter argument. I was just baffled by the poor journalism and by the stupidity of the commentary. My goodness, gentlemen, come on, grow up, play baseball.
Pretty entertaining, though. Hogs, I can just imagine, because Hogs, out of the three of us, Dan, I think has the temper. I think definitely the most hostile personality among us. And I would say that I'm guessing when he read that one, his phone went for a ride, Dan Thompson.
My gosh. I think I'm catching up to you, though, here in Gardy's gripes, Dan.
Yeah, my goodness, you're getting hostile here, Dan. You gotta get a little lower, I think. You go so high, it's hard to really feel the hostility, I think. When you're up here.
Right. We better move on here to Pucketts Picks.
And we'll see you tomorrow night. Pucketts Picks.
No surprise here, Dan. The listeners are taking Buxton off the board because it seems like he's healthy. And after a guy scores 19 points, it's pretty hard not to pick him for the next series.
Yes, and that leaves then the next pick to you, sir.
Yeah, thankfully. My goodness, I got to get back on the winning train here, Dan. I really don't like the way things are going, so I'm going to take Carlos Correa. I think that he's going to be back to 100%. I think he was still shaking off the COVID here at the end of this series, but I think he's going to come back with a vengeance against the Rays.
And that leaves me with a difficult decision here. I don't want to necessarily leave Arise there. At the same time, he's a singles machine who doesn't seem to knock in a lot of runs. So that's a couple ways that I'm not going to get points out of him.
I hear Sano might be coming back. Maybe you could get...
Well, I'm not picking Miranda. I think I'm actually going to go with
6 points. Settle down. He scored 6 points.
I just meant after my saying that he should be sent down and bring up Spencer Steer. I think I'm going to go with Jorge Polanco. I just think he's in a spot to get more RBIs. This is not a slight against Luis Arise. I just think points-wise, I got to think with my head and not with my heart.
I don't think anybody will blame you here, Dan. It is funny, though, to see Arise no longer being the go-to guy in this moment.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully he's going to score a lot of runs. He's going to get on base for Polanco to hit a couple home runs in this series against the Rays.
Yeah, so Twins currently going into the Rays series are still 3 games up in the division on Cleveland, 5 games up on the White Sox. However, Dan, Cleveland has a stretch of games here, Dan, against very, very beatable teams. So hopefully the Twins can win this series against the Rays and keep that lead.
And we should say Joe Ryan pitched 3 innings at AAA on Thursday. Looks like he's going to make the trip to Seattle and pitch one of those games. And then hopefully I'll get to see him pitch in a couple series when I go to Arizona to watch the Twins play in Arizona.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'll go ahead and send us out here, Dan. Well, folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. You can follow us on Twitter at Men for the Win and find our Men for the Win Facebook page. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast to be notified when new episodes are available. And if you could leave us a rating, that'd be great. A reminder that our episodes are now available on YouTube. And if you could drop us a like and a subscribe there, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening. And as always, go Twins. That'll wrap up another episode of Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, 2 avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Thanks so much for listening. And as always, go Twins.